All right. The nice Zoom lady told me the recording's in progress. Happy November. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to MVP Office Hours. I am not Squire Kirshner. I'm just logged in as him, but he said I could. It emailed him a code. He gave me the code, and we're
Here
good
we
to
are.
go. I'm Dale Ziegler, and along with me is my good friend, partner in crime, Joy Shutters Helding. And then Squire may be joining in later. And you know what? If I get cut off, it's because Squire did join us on his account, and then I got to go log in as me. But we'll cross that bridge if we get there. This is MVP Office Hours. We meet on the first and third Friday of the month. You can follow any of us as individual peoples over on LinkedIn. We still have an X, Twitter,
Ish.
whatever
Yeah.
handle. You can probably go to that, and there's stuff there. You can also jump to our info site, which should just go to our Zoom registration. It's through our Salesforce Experience Cloud site. There's a whole lot of click through, whatever. Yeah, the internet takes care of it. You can email us at mvpofficehoursus@gmail.com, but you're going to get a friendly out of office that says, hey, why don't you go to the Success Community Group so that everybody can collaborate? So all those good resources, go there, follow us, find us, and we're happy that you are here. Welcome. We do normally meet on the first and third Friday of the month, so our next call will be in 2 weeks on the 15th. You can always register at our bit.ly, which is case sensitive. I am a couple recordings behind. We'll get to it here in a second, but I'm a couple recordings behind because I have not had a chance to fully screen them to figure out, do I need to edit things out? Like Stu right now. That is some weird content, dude. Whatever. Okay.
No, that is not weird content. That's fantastic, sweet candy content. That's fine.
Can I just pause really quickly and say the dad tax last night came in the form of milk chocolate, pumpkin spice, caramel Ghirardelli. Like all those flavors seem separately fantastic, but I might need a few drinks to try it all together, but we'll see. Anyway.
So, yeah, before he continues though, you are all obligated to put your favorite candy in the chat. Like just tell us what your favorite candy is.
Yes, no shame in any of it.
Carry on, Dale. Carry on.
Anyway, I will be working on a few recordings to get them out there. Do have to edit some stuff out. Again, we'll talk about that here in a second. Use if you post anywhere, use our favorite hashtags or look for our favorite hashtags. We're all here as a big community globally. We're here within the call, and then also we'll touch on local here in a minute. If it's your first time, welcome. We love having you here. We love you. Hopefully you find this beneficial and you want to come back again. If you have a question, you can put it in the chat. You can raise your hand. If there's dead air, as a journalism major who focused in broadcast, I hate dead air. Dead air is my enemy. So if there's a blank pause, just say something. Everyone's allowed to share, including sharing your screen, sharing links and resources and answers in the chat. We also know not everybody can come off mute, so that the chat is there and we're monitoring it. If you share your screen, please do not share production org. We don't want real data out there. We don't want real user information. We don't want any of that. Share dev org, share a sandbox, share scratch org, share whatever of, whatever is not reflective of real, because we don't want our company's information, our clients' information, all that out there. Also, I don't want to have to add another recording to the queue of things to look through to figure out, do I have to splice out sections because we didn't follow the rules, which gets me to that bottom paragraph. I was not on the call 2 weeks ago, but the call 2 weeks prior to that, we did kind of get into a ditch for a little bit that I need to edit out because the internet is permanent. We're here to have fun. We're here to help each other. This is just friends in a virtual room helping each other solve problems on the platform. We're not here to complain about our Salesforce AEs. We're not here to complain about our internal salespeople. We're not, just keep it professional. Come on. Because really, I don't want to have to record it or take it out of the work.
All right, Dale, next slide. Come on.
No, but also we just actually had something come up here that we're going to have to add to the deck.
Yes.
We noticed there was a participant who included, who had an additional AI recorder or AI note taker account. No, You know, I know like this is all new tech that we're learning as we go, and it's evolving and everything, but I could bore you with the legalese that we signed as MVPs to then be able to host this call. I can 100% guarantee you having an AI note taker capture this will absolutely violate any of what we do, which will kill the call, will kill this. So no, please just no. So now we'll go on to the next slide. Community events. Monday next week, we got some good stuff next week in Atlanta, in St. Louis, just 4 hours east of me on 70. Higher Ed Dreamin' virtually, Mar Dreamin' virtually, Commons Community Spirit in Chicago, and a couple of world tours coming up right before Thanksgiving. So check those out. Hop over to the event site on salesforce.com, and in the lower right, find a local group and actually like shake someone's hand, fist bump, have a hug if you're both willing.
I'll be at the Chicago Sprint. I'll be at the Chicago Sprint, Dale. And I think Kathy, are you coming too, right? Kathy will be there. She's not sending me hockey pants, but she'll be there.
No hockey pants. Do you need coffee crisp?
Oh, they're so good. Need is a strong word, but that's pretty. Is that candy or is that like a snack? I might have to change my candy answer. It's chocolate snack. It's a chocolate snack.
And they hand it out at Halloween, so I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, sorry to derail. But I'll be in Chicago. I would love to see anyone else coming in for the community sprint.
Exactly. All like we're all real people who actually do go places. So check out any of those links to figure out where you can be in the same place at the same time with other good Salesforce people in the community and do good for this community. So there you go.
Yeah, love it. I love it. All right. So do we have questions? Do we have questions already?
Were these? There's a lot of good stuff. I did not prep well enough to speak to it, but it looks like a lot of good stuff. We'll share the deck later and you can go internet venture yourself.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
Resource Hall of Fame. Love this one. All the links. I can guarantee at least one's going to come up during every call. This gets us to actual questions and everything. I noticed a post come up at about 12:40 Central, so about 30 minutes ago, so we did not get it in here. Joy, if you don't mind me, let's see.
I don't mind you doing anything.
Or Joy, if you had it.
No, I don't have that up, but I do have, we have one question in the chat right now about AI agents from Jennifer. And Jennifer,
that might be this one. I'm so sorry. Last minute, I realized I didn't put the question in.
It's okay.
All good. No. All good. We're covering it. Let's go.
And then, and then Adriana, I'm going to look for, we'll get to it. But I just want to preface this with the information that has been shared with everyone and the hype that has been shared with everyone is not necessarily there's not necessarily answers to all of your questions. So
sure. Absolutely.
We'll share whatever we can with you for sure.
Thank you.
So Jennifer, I mean, with that, do you want to, I mean, this is a detailed paragraph, but do you want to elaborate and
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is a massive business issue a lot of companies have, right? We're a software company as well. We sell HR, payroll, and time management software globally. We're the largest private software company in the world. And one of our key issues, I've been here a long time, from day one, we've struggled with this challenge. We interact with prospects very early on, maybe business development reps. We have leads, we have a whole sales buying journey, as every company does. We have pre-sales consultants, kind of higher level technical people come in and demo solutions and have do discovery with these prospects and learn all about them and their environments and their pain points and KPIs. And all of this data is out there somewhere. It's in a PowerPoint deck. It's in a meeting recording. It's in Salesforce and notes. It's all over the place. And what we're trying to do, and it's been a goal for years, is how do we smooth out that sales to service handoff where we've spent a year talking to this client, we win the deal, market close one in Salesforce, and then we hand it to this onboarding team who proceeds to ask all the same questions to the poor client that they've answered for a year. And when I heard about agents in my limited technical knowledge, I was like, okay, maybe this can help bridge the gap and we can use agents to mine all the data, extrapolate it into a super nice one handoff document to have an agent chat that we can just say, hey, what is the critical issue this client cares about? Or, you know, what kind of environment are they using Oracle? And the agent would know. So kind of a twofold thing. Can we get a really nice summary handoff so that that poor client doesn't have to ask all the questions? And two, internally, as we want to know our customer, can we use an agent to just answer questions internally for sales, pre-sales service? It's all about making it better for the customer. So I hope that makes it easy to understand. Thank you, Stuart.
Stuart's ready.
He's like, no more.
But I don't have any answers for you about AI and what you can do in AI and Salesforce. I'm gonna let other people answer that question, but I am gonna ask this because our company is looking at this too. Can we have agents do the work of our call center? Can the agent answer all the questions that a caller might call in and ask about? And the answer, I think, but other people tell me I'm wrong, is yes. However, the first question is, can you do that without the AI agent? Because if that answer is no, we can't give you that answer if we don't have the agent. Then the answer is going to be the no. The agent isn't going to be able to do that either. It'd be like hiring 10,000 high school interns and saying, give all the answers for these questions. They don't know. And unless your call center can do those things even in a manual, awkward process, you will never be able to train an agent to do the same thing. And now I'll shut up and let the actual experts answer the question.
I don't think it's fair to say you can't get an agent to do it if you can't get your team to do it, but there's a ton of validity to the basic idea of if you can't do it with humans today, AI is not necessarily the solution that I would jump to. I would want to look at the handoff process from a business perspective and just take a step back and say, what do I need to do from a systems and tools and process perspective to be able to improve the handoff between sales and service? Like you mentioned, I have this one particular pain point that is the most pressing pain point. How do I just capture that as a fact for the handoff process? And can I make some incremental improvements that move me closer to that end goal? That is a really, really good place to start. When you look at what AI agents can do for us and AI in general, we are rapidly approaching a point where, should you feel like it's worth the spend, you could have your AI agent on the phone calls taking notes. You could have that AI agent put those notes in a place accessible to other AIs to consume as resources. And then at the end of that point, be able to say, this is the biggest concern. And there's a lot of different ways to get to that with AIs that are available today, both in Salesforce and outside of Salesforce. The big thing is going to be on the cost and how do you want to manage and understand where that cost is coming from. And then just kind of like be very explicit about this. It is a poor use case of AI today in Salesforce to try to do something that you can't already do. Like that is a bad use case. From a cost perspective, it will balloon wildly and really fast. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really hard. That's why we're trying to think about it a different way. And sometimes on small accounts it works well, but on the big accounts, when you've had 3 sales reps over 2 years and all kinds of people coming and going, you know, it's just trying to figure out a way. Obviously, we have really good customer sat scores. We're just trying to get even better.
Yeah. You know what, honestly, probably the easiest way to do it in today's environment would be using Slack AI, which you do at
So
you pay
sorry,
for your
Stuart, good job. Stuart just asked if they have Slack.
Do you have Slack?
Yeah,
Yeah.
If you
I
don't,
think we do
great
use
reason.
Slack in small areas of IT, but not company wide. No, we're using Teams.
So Slack's AI, it's GPT, has the ability to do really, really long lookbacks and complicated evaluations, and you are paying for that at an enterprise level. And so you have a fixed fee. It is one of the rare places where you get a fixed fee. It's a third of spend. It's sort of like saying we have Shield, right? You pay a chunk of money for Shield. You pay a chunk of money for Slack AI. If you have that, and then you had Slack record channels. So I had a record channel for my customer. And then at every one of those touch points, those notes went into that record channel. You could then literally just say, create a transition plan that will explain how I should hand this off, or catch me up on this account, what matters most, I'm a customer service agent. You could ask those questions and it would do it. But
Yeah, and how are those notes getting into the channel? You're relying on humans again?
it could be.
This
it
is
could
where it
be,
breaks. I'm
right?
afraid.
Or it could be,
Yeah.
right? It could be that you have maybe you use what's Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, where I join it and it spits out notes, and then I take those AI generated call notes and then I use something to integrate them into Slack so that it posts it there. It would become a combination of tools, right? But again, it gets really muddy because we're trying to solve a dozen business problems with one solution.
Yeah.
As opposed to being like, okay, I have this discrete issue. How do I address this discrete issue?
But you need to
Right.
start with the discrete issue and make sure that is even solvable with the AI before she starts down the road of the additional. So start with that. Can I determine what the major pain point is using all these sources that I'm feeding the AI? And maybe you test that for like 3 or 4 accounts to see, do I get that answer? Do I get it consistently that it matches? Can I get that feedback from, the customer or from the internal people who are involved to say, yeah, this looks like it's on the right track or it's not, before you pursue further questions for that handoff.
Yeah, and the good thing is we do capture right on the opportunity. We capture current environment, pain points, all that kind of stuff. So I suppose if we simplify this down, could we just create an AI agent that just takes everything that's already in Salesforce and puts it into one cohesive place, or is like an agent we can ask the questions? So a service person that maybe doesn't have a full Sales Cloud license can find that out without having to see the opportunity or something.
But that's
So-
true today.
Well, it's true to a point today, because one of the things the trust layer does is make sure that the user has access to those records. So if you're talking about a sales user who might not have access to some of those things, depending on how you set up sharing for the AI, might mean that it also might not still have access to those things.
Gotcha. That's a good point. Okay. And we're really in the infancy, as you can tell. This is a half-baked idea. And that's why I came to this group, because you guys are so good at just, giving us ideas on what path to go down. But the good thing is we do have the right culture. The time is really ripe for this to do a much better job.
One of the things that you can certainly do is like go down the trailhead rabbit hole with the agent builder and take a run at that to better understand what the possibilities are and kind of get you started. I will find that link and then plop it in the chat in a second. But I've been through like this whole building an agent thing like over and over and over. And every time I do it, I learn something new.
Wait, or even more fun, use that as an idea for the hackathon in New York and totally put together a team and work on it. So then you can make some money too.
Linda's ready to do this. She's going to go to New York with you. You're all set.
Only I can't go to New York, but okay.
I can't go to New York either. So
We're rolling out a new forecasting tool next week, so I'm a little busy, but yeah.
It's going to be, it'll be a virtual team. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
May I ask Mike Reynolds a follow-up question if I can yield to the
if you want us to yield to you, Stuart,
yield to
Yeah.
the MVP? Come on,
just
come
talk,
on.
Stuart. Just talk. Tell me your things.
Slack AI question. So I know that Slack has these huddles, SWAT groups you can get
Oh.
in. So I've got a problem with this opportunity. I've got this problem where I've got this thing handoff. I have a handoff on an account that I need to do, and include all the team members into the Slack channel. Does AI work on those team huddles? Can it, like, after our conversation of the handoff, can the AI create a document that says, here's what you talked about and here are your next action steps?
So Copilot does. The Microsoft tool 100% does that. There are other tools that do it. I don't think Slack AI, I'm trying to remember. So I will send you a link to my user group, the Chicago Slack chapter, hosted the Slack's AI product manager, Soham, and he talked about the roadmap and what the available features are. I'll find a link to that and then I'll send it over to you. I don't think that's on the roadmap and I don't think they're doing it right now, but I'm positive it is something that they will eventually do because so many other AI tools are working in that direction. They'll either create it or buy it.
Okay, fascinating. Thank you. Thank you for letting me ask the question.
I don't know where that link is, Mike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll try to find a link. I just gave that presentation to somebody else, so I'll try to find a link to it.
Perfect. Thank you. Do we have any other questions in the chat? I don't see questions. I mean, meanwhile, I'm debating, Coffee Crisp and Take 5 in my mind. And I don't know, if I could add caramel and pretzels to Coffee Crisp, I'd be very happy. Kathy. Figure out how to add coffee to my Take 5 chocolate, I think will be the way I do that. But that being said, do we have any other questions? None.
Looking for an opinion.
On what? Because we all got those.
I had finished swallowing, or else it would just been really bad there. Salesforce Shield, it's there, it's top of the line. But do you guys have any other options for detection software that's not Shield?
What part of Shield are you using?
We're not.
What part would you want?
The knowing whether or not, like another IP, the IP detection, hey, you're not overseas all of a sudden. So I think that's the IP login detection. And then also, hey, the user has started to export a large amount of data, those kind of the notifications that you can kind of get from Shield. Are there other software pieces out there that do similar things? Is it instant detection? It's IDS. Instant detection?
So somebody else probably knows the more to this. So Shield does like 4 big things, right? And if you pick any one of those things, there's some other company that does that thing as well. What gets spicy is encryption in transit, right? That I think you need Shield if you want to do that. But if you're looking for event monitoring, that's an individual thing that you can buy that isn't Shield. It's usually 1/3 of what Shield costs because it is one of the 3 big things that Shield does.
Okay.
And event monitoring is what you're kind of describing, to be able to say, like, this scenario has occurred, so somebody tell me about it. The part of me that is security conscious wants to just say, if you're worried about IPs, why don't we just go ahead and put some range restrictions in there today? Like, why am I waiting for it to go wrong?
Yeah, that's what our org does too. We set the IP allow list to a pretty narrow band, And if you're trying to hit us from any other IP that's not part of our company's VPN, you're not going to be allowed to get in. Now,
So
if
can
you're
you
at
set, oh, sorry, go ahead,
go
please.
ahead. Yep.
No, can you IP login just be set to, you have to be in the US? Because we have people that are in individual offices and not necessarily using a VPN to get in. But at least that would help us make sure that we're not being
You
logged in from out.
So, I don't know the answer to the question. Could you limit it to all IP addresses within the United States? I don't know about that. I just wouldn't do it that way to begin with.
Okay.
If you have an office, that office probably has a network, and that network has an IP range. Now, if you have 30 offices, you may have 30 ranges in your allow list. Okay.
Yeah, we have an office, but we have therapists that are out at dermatology offices nationwide. And so they would be logging into the community or Experience Cloud from those individual dermatology offices nationwide.
But they're
Okay.
logging into Experience Cloud, not to full Salesforce.
Correct.
So I kind of feel like I would limit what can log into full Salesforce differently than what I would allow to log into Experience Cloud.
Okay.
I don't know that you can do IP address by country because it doesn't work that way. Like the
Okay.
address doesn't work that way. I can't say the first 3 characters is always the US. Like that's not
Okay.
a
It's not like a
thing.
phone number kind of thing. Sorry, that's
No.
my.
Yeah, it's not as easy. Because you can be on a range and all of a sudden some weird number pops in there that you normally don't see in that range. It turns out isn't in this country. I don't run into that very often, but once in a while. I really don't know of anything other than the event logging that really can get you that detail.
Okay.
The sharing.
And event
but-
monitoring can also do like the download stuff. Or is
It
that
will tell you if people have downloaded stuff. But I feel like it's still not always real time. Mike can correct me. Maybe it's better than what it was.
It's pretty good, but you will need a tool to read it, to understand it.
Yeah.
So like
I
we
mean-
have CRMA. CRMA has tools that can look at the event monitoring data, and then we can create reports that say who did what. And that's pretty good, but it
Those are all after the fact though.
takes a little, yeah, it's after the fact, right? Yeah, it's
There
not-
is that piece of Shield though that lets you do a little more proactive, but I don't remember how far that extends and to what events it's possible to do that with.
Heather, do you have a internal IT proxy firewall security team?
no?
Okay. All
I
right.
can
Because-
pretty
because-
much
Because there's got to
tell
be
you
other
that.
apps.
I mean,
There's got to be
yeah.
other apps than Salesforce that you'd be also worried about of who's connecting from,
okay.
some country they shouldn't be if they're logging in, and so it's not just going to be a Salesforce problem. I would say.
Okay. Yeah, we were starting to focus even more on security and all of that. That's one of the things that came up is like, do we put down the chunk of change for Shield, or is there other options? So I said I'd start to look into that, and I'm on this call with you guys today, so I figured why not?
Love it. I love it.
Okay, so I'll take down these links and then look into event monitoring and see if that is more of an affordable option that we can look into, and then ask about the firewalls. Okay,
Fantastic.
thank you.
Thank you. We love questions. I love questions that someone else can answer. Whoa. Do we have any other questions in the chat? I keep like getting lost because I have it in a very small window and then I keep seeing who's on the call and all that good stuff. Ernesto had a question about anyone using Tableau, as the dashboards in Sales Cloud are very basic. And then we had some communications heading down there. Power BI, Tableau. Ernesto, are you good or you want to talk about that some more?
I'm good. Yeah, I just wanted to see what other people will say if they come up with a different name than
Sure.
the usuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm working on getting Tableau because I used it in the past.
Mhm.
But there is also a lot of AI announcements, let's say,
Right.
make it a little bit better.
Sure.
And I try to use Power BI and it kind of becomes, I don't know, it's just those filters. It kind of becomes like an Excel to me, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't like it. Let's put it that way. I've been using it for a while and I don't see the innovation yet. Even though I have Copilot and all of those tools, it's still not. It's to me, it's not different from an Excel pivot table, to be honest. Other than you can put multiple and it looks a little bit better. But yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to see what other people think about it. Yeah.
Anyone else have anything else they've been using? Or are we all over that one? It's all good.
Unrelated to that, but when I pull up the Salesforce event stuff, this is Adriana. It looks like what World Tour Atlanta was November 4th doesn't show up anywhere. It looks like it's December 18th now.
Did they move it? It's possible.
I think so.
I mean,
Yeah, I had the
Taco says
link
hello.
to the question.
I'll be
What's
right
that?
back. Why are you barking?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna say why, but there it is.
Meet
Um,
Agent Force, discover what AI was meant to be, all for free.
What was the original date?
November
November.
4th, this Monday.
Monday.
Because I had it blocked out also, and I'm like, I never got anything on it. What's
Mhm.
going on? And then when I'm looking, I was like, I don't think it's out there on November 4th. But then you mentioned it, and I'm like, where are you guys seeing that? So it looks like it got moved at some point.
So we're gonna confess something real quick. Sometimes we just update. We don't always vet what was on the slide.
No, I know it said
yeah.
November 4th at some point in time
Mhm.
because I had also written that down, but they must have modified it, and
Yeah.
I'm just letting you
And
guys
so,
know.
yeah. So if you click on the link, they'll register, and then if they move it again, you'll know.
Right.
They'll let you know.
It looks to me like they moved it for Dreamin' and Data.
It very well could have been. They also could have had a venue situation. They could have had a key speaker situation.
Yeah.
Taco, I'm very busy.
There's
I
the
know you don't
Chicago
care.
one on the 19th December.
Yep, in December. So we'll get December updated for the next call.
Oh, okay.
But we just realized World Tour Atlanta moved. So all that good stuff. So one of the things, do we have other questions? Because I mean, I have a whole conversation talker, and Linda, your name came up. So
Before you move on, I had a thought
Yeah.
about Ernesto's question of Tableau.
Yeah.
Another option that I'm not necessarily recommending, but there are programs like R or another statistical package that you can start to use for data analysis that give you a little bit more, like you can do repeatable analysis by coding it and that kind of stuff. They're a little bit outside the realm of what I would think of as what you're looking for, but that's generally, if I can't do it in Excel or Tableau or Salesforce, I'll turn to R. So
Yeah, I have a tool called Alteryx that pretty much does that. You know, it's like a SQL database tool on steroids. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I have that. Yeah,
looking-
that's how I'm planning on getting the data. But the visual that I want to present to the leadership team, you know, it's right now in Sales Cloud, and it kind of looks okay, great enough to create a long page of dashboards just to give them some answers.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
R has a really good graphing module basically, so you can create like any kind of graph you want. that you can think of. And it has a lot of, it's an open source project. So like lots and lots of packages available. Anyway, it does have
Okay.
a learning curve, but
Yeah,
worth looking into.
thank you.
I'll post a link in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll take a look. Thanks. Joy, what do you want to talk about? You're muted.
She may be chasing down Taco.
She suddenly became Wonder Woman.
Shit,
I mean,
But Halloween was yesterday, honey.
no, it's still today. It's still today. But you know, we didn't have a call yesterday, so I couldn't celebrate with you all. And I want to talk about candy and I want to talk about other things. But one of my LinkedIn folks had posted a thing about kind of getting sucked into the Frankenstein of your Salesforce org, right? And how as you're working really hard to do all the things that are being asked for, and as you're learning more and as you're learning best practices, and you look back 2 years later and you're like, holy buckets, what did we do? Or you come into an org where maybe there wasn't a lot of big picture work happening. And then you're like, okay, where do we start? We were Dale, the Dale person, not the Squire person. And I were talking about like, well, okay, well, that's great. But if you don't know, or you come into an org of folks that didn't know, and they have this Frankenstein sort of org, how do you begin with a technical debt conversation, right? And Dale's first question was like, well, you got to get someone who cares about it first.
You do.
Or you got to get a stakeholder that cares about it enough to give you the the bandwidth to continue. But I was really wanting to talk about like where do you begin with that, right? Like, do you start like documenting everything out? And Linda, this is where I was like, Linda did this for us.
Way too many times.
Linda keeps doing this. Linda's really good at it. We should talk to Linda about it. And I was like, I would really love to see like this kind of like put into like, okay, well, where do you start? Right? Like, do you just start cleaning up the trash that's floated in the construction site so that like at least that's tidied up, and then you start picking up the construction debris, and then you start picking up the stuff that's not being used, and then you start picking up, I don't know, like the bigger stuff, like remodeling the walls and whatnot. And so that's what I talk to me. Yeah.
I think it varies. I think it varies a lot. Like, I can't say that I've ever done it the same way in each org like that I've gone to, because I'll see different things. And yes, the optimization stuff is a great thing. Health check is another great thing to check right off, because it's a little bit into security. If you can tie some of that cleanup to security stuff early on, you will get that stakeholder to listen faster. I mean, sometimes it's a scare tactic and that's not great, but it's something. I feel like,
so maybe like take a look at the security stuff first to get your stakeholder buy-in, and then start working through the other stuff.
We put together now, and we only, I think, started doing this year where I'm at, is they put together a quarterly PowerPoint of what did we get on the health check? What are the things that were marked as critical, and what are we doing to mitigate? What could we do to mitigate those? What are we getting on the optimizer? What are like the top 3 or 4 things that are problems according to optimizer? And then we've slowly been adding to that each quarter. So now I'm also looking at, how many classes and flows and stuff have old API versions that, they're okay, but maybe not, or what Salesforce issues are there that we're being forced to deal with, like workflow rules and process builders. How many of those do we still have that we need to convert? What are the other topics that are being raised as things we're going to have to start looking at, like profiles to permission sets, and here's the deadline associated with that, or for a while the retirement of certain API versions, and what does that really mean for our org, if anything, for the org we're in.
Let's not forget Hyperforce, Linda.
For the Hyperforce move, so you have to be on a domain and a bunch of other stuff. The retirement of Salesforce for Outlook.
All applicable. And I'm trying to be very mindful of not using the words but and however, because then everything that comes after that negates what was just said, because they are all valid. I would also posit
consider.
though, also consider though, asking the question, because Joy, I guess maybe Joy, I'm hanging too much on the context of the specific question or the specific topic that was on LinkedIn of
Mhm.
inheriting a Frankenstein org. Was it inheriting? Or was it just like ongoing maintenance, like the same team that's been on it for forever and ever? Like I don't know if that varies or not. But like
Either way, sure.
Because like I go to my very first org back in 2011. I inherited a 2-3-year-old org that had stuff done to it by a business team. They were given the admin keys to the kingdom, but they weren't the Salesforce admin. I was the first Salesforce admin. And I can look back and now say, oh, I wish I'd known to think that. But now this is what I would tell other people. They had an opportunity object with 360 fields on it, 60 validation roles, because they didn't know any better. It got the job done. But are those kinds of things going to come up in a health check, in an optimization report, when all the fields that they had in there through their various number of validation rules and all the things, they were getting used, but they didn't have anybody to tell them, yeah, maybe you don't do it that way. We actually, then I learned had a second org in the company that trying to figure out how to word this on a recorded line that doesn't give away the company, or just go look at my LinkedIn history.
Can we
Screw it, it's
pause?
the railroad.
Can we just pause right here and then
It's fine. No, actually, it's fine. Actually, I think it's probably okay. But they had a second org, same situation, no proper Salesforce administrator on it. Just somebody was given that, like, they bought the licenses, they made themselves admins, and they pre-Trailhead built what they thought needed to be built. They had an instance where when a train derails, they needed to ask 10 questions about every single car that was on that train. And if you've ever looked at a train, it can be well north of 150, 200 cars.
I have counted freight trains.
Right. Well, yeah. So you think about it though, but if you're asking 10 questions about these cars, at the time you had a field limit of 500 on an object. Yeah, it's grown to 800. I think it's stupid that it's north of 200, but we're not here to discuss that. But once that team learned that I was in to be an admin, they were like, well, you got to fix this for us. Okay, well, what do you do when you get past the 400 fields or 300 fields that you've created for those? Oh, we just started a new record. Okay, that's bad practice. I did a field trip to see that all those fields were populated. That's not going to come up on a health analysis. So it comes back, like, a very valid question is, who was running it previously with a potentially elementary or insufficient knowledge of best practices to then figure out, oh, that's what got us into this technical debt problem, or here's what we need to clean up. Like, does that make sense?
That's also where technical debt isn't just about those things that you can tell by running all those things in the org. It's also by getting with
your hands
users
in
and
the
understanding what
dough.
are your pain points, how are you using this, where is your process work, where is your process not work as well as you'd like it. I'm not going to call it broken, because sometimes, you couldn't come up with another way to do something. And what can we do to help make those things better, while also cleaning up a little bit, like, so, I mean, one of the things at a prior org I was at, deployments took a really long time. And several people would get frustrated when, oh, it doesn't break down until the last test class out of like 10,000 of them running, because we had all these extra managed packages installed we weren't using anymore. So by helping to remove managed packages that we're not using, we're going to improve the time it takes to deploy. Is that important enough to the business to not have someone spend a whole weekend trying to deploy something so you can get more stuff more frequently? So it becomes finding what are the things that could have effect, how will they have effect, and then finding that person with the ear who wants to make that decision and make that call for you to allow you to do it.
Exactly, because the business may not care that it took someone a whole weekend to do it. It takes that admin or that CI/CD or that DevOps person's advocate to say, I'm not burning my person out, making them work the weekend. So,
well, or repeatedly, because maybe we want to deploy every week. Great. We can't do that with how long it takes. You're going to get a release every 3 weeks or once a month or whatever. And if that's not soon enough for you, then we need to do these other things to be able to get there. so that it's a reasonable ask to do that work that often.
Mm-hmm. That was one of those things. I've entered into orgs in the last year that I'm like, oh wow, okay, like we can build this new thing that you're asking for, but like, who, someone needs to address the cleanup situation too. Like and I think about like how I worked in my first org when I first got the keys to set up, right? And how I would do things differently, and like how every release, you can do something better, right? And like you go back, and how do you go back and upgrade what you didn't know before, or what wasn't available before, right? And prioritize all of that. And it's something that I constantly thinking about when people are migrating from like one business to another business, or as a consultant, like you're going into one org to another org, and you're just looking at how all the things just kind of like add extra weight to your instance, right? And to what you're dealing with. So I'm going to be putting all this content in a session for someone somewhere, and you can talk to me about it later.
We could totally do that together, because like
Linda, don't worry.
Band-Aids. We
don't
can just call
worry,
it
Linda. First aid for your Salesforce org.
I would attend that session.
Would you attend it? Who was that?
Oh yeah, it's Diane.
Diane. All right, fantastic. I'm glad that you would attend it, like, because I hate talking to an empty room.
No, I do things a very specific way, and it's hard. We just got acquired, and so now I'm stuck in an org that I don't have any control over anymore. And yeah, I wish I would attend a session to see, like, this is how, if I could explain
Extreme
to
org makeover.
This is how things are supposed to go, and have those conversations with people. It's tough though. So
yeah. All right. Does anyone have anything else? Because I really want to go through this candy list.
I mean, really quick, I see Nate Martin, your question. The comment. I am the stakeholder who cares about the tech debt, curious about how you get leadership sponsorship. If it doesn't eventually come from the top, then as an admin, it's hard for people to take me seriously. This is literally my org. Dude, feel you. Like, all the love in the world, feel you. As a consultant, my favorite tool is Toggle as a time tracker, because I can click that button, start a new task, and I start to aggregate my time. Like, it's what I use to then submit my timesheets, all that kind of stuff. But you start tracking your time on what activities are you on. And if it's largely cleaning crap up, and you can actually articulate, I spent this amount of time doing this amount of time on this, and it's just an app that sits on my desktop that I can just click, go, click, go, click, go. If you can quantify the percentage of time you're spending doing cleanup versus actual new build, or consuming release notes to learn about new features to add to the roadmap, whatever, if you're fixing more than you're building, that hard, objective, quantitative data will be your best friend.
Or building
Well,
off of that.
and
great advice.
documenting
Thank
those
you.
points where you've had to fix stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So where you did a release and now you're having to back it up because, oh, there's all these things that we didn't either to test enough for, or we didn't realize we're interacting with this because we've already put Band-Aids in place and now we're interacting with those Band-Aids. I feel like the biggest one being, validation rules. All the
Yes.
time.
Just said, for me, I went through that, and the biggest part that let people listen to me was, I'm doing this new thing, but it's taking me a long time because I have to worry about all this other things that we don't need in the org. So, and then yes, you kind of document your time, I guess, on how much cleanup you have to do before you can do a new feature or whatever that is. I was lucky enough for the first 2 years I started, I had a lot of that. We had 3 different companies using the same org, and I had to clean all of it. And then at one point I was lucky enough where we actually built a new org from zero. and I was highly involved. Nobody touched anything without me looking at it. So, but yes, for the first 2 years, that's all I did. It's like selling the idea that if there were new things, they have to spend time cleaning up the old. And I had a lot of it. Like probably 80% of my time was cleaning up more than doing other things.
Mm-hmm. Data is real. Numbers are real.
Yeah, the other piece is if you can get your users to say, hey, this process takes me so long because X, Y, and Z I have to do every time, because you haven't even had time to fix their problems. That's another piece of data, not just your time as an admin, but users' time. It's harder because you can't make them track their time necessarily, but you can try.
No, but you can count how many tickets they've put in because all of a sudden you broke stuff.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, you can even start to aggregate those tickets. Again, if you're putting time spent on those tickets and you find overlap across the tickets, like you start to paint that picture of spending X amount of time on a very specific kind of fix repeatedly, rather than the Band-Aid, let's go do surgery. Like it's all data, all objective. Like,
It's all good. It's all good. All right, friends, last chance to give me input on your favorite candy, because I am obsessed. There's nothing new here either.
So
did you try the Ghost Toast Kit Kats?
I did not try those.
I mean, I only got two.
So I love the candy. Sorry, not to cut off. I love the candy, but Jana Jones, when it comes to cleanup, does anyone have resources on best practices? Like these data managed parameters are a must have, or is the best way to structure licenses, or ...
Jana, you just come in right when I'm ready to talk about candy. So resources
just trying
on
to
best
help our
practices.
waistlines.
Yeah. I can talk about candy. I haven't had any candy yet. Yesterday. I haven't had any candy yet. I had Oreos yesterday, but I donated blood, so that's why I got those. Dale.
I sure don't. I just didn't want to lose track of the question, but I don't.
So to data cleanup?
I mean, I have places I start, but they're not always consistent. Like,
okay. Yeah, I was just thinking like if there was like something to point me to, if anybody knows of something, a blog even out in the community that says like you should always, from a data management standpoint, have these measures in place. Just you have to have, or this is a best practice or something like that. Because I'm dealing with one of those major org dumpster fires right now. So
I mean, other than right now, like with AI being the hot topic and the fact that data quality is such a key piece of making AI work, that the things that they recommend looking at to help improve data quality, so things like completeness and consistency and all those things they tell you that you have to study for that AI certification.
You get those requiring fields.
And Mike's saying metadata and owner and just what does your life cycle look like? And I'd throw in there too ownership. Who owns what data becomes important too. We can't hear you, Mike. I don't know why.
Oh, I was whispering. I said data owner. Yeah. Dude, data owner is a good idea. Is there like an acute problem, or are you just the data everywhere is the problem?
We were talking about technical debt, and then Jana fired that off at us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just started a new role, and I am not an admin. I mean, I call myself like admin light.
Admin light. I love admin light.
Yeah, and so I know what needs to be done, but I'm usually more collaborating with people that are doing configurations or something like that. So in this scenario, I don't have that yet, and this is an unmanaged org. hasn't, and it's had all these band-aid fixes for many, many years. So I'm trying to go in and unwind things, or even see like, what's the methodology for even giving this license to a person and assigning this way? And there isn't one.
Sure.
Probably not even, this is for a different call, right, Joy?
I mean, it's a lot.
Sorry.
It's okay.
In an org like the one you're describing, you honestly can't go wrong. You can probably fix anything anywhere and be making a marked improvement. I have a general tip for anytime someone's in a new org is remember what Coach Lasso said, be curious, not judgmental. And sometimes when you get into these new orgs, you see a dumpster fire, somebody else saw a lot of intentional steps to keep the wheels on. And you're asking good questions, but just the people around you in an unmanaged org were probably the one who made these choices, and we don't want to alienate them, right? And so I would vote all day long for trying to identify as much of the basic fundamental stuff that you can, because it's going to be worth it in the long run. So if you were to pick add object and then go look at the custom field and then just click on one of them, when you view that field, there's a bunch of little boxes. You get like data owner, you get, is the field active? Does it have a data classification? You get these basic facts that you can fill out. Like, is there a description? Is there help text, right? And you're probably going to see that all of that is blank. And the biggest thing you can do immediately is to just try to fill in what you know to the best of your ability and begin asking other people for that data. And then identifying a data owner. So maybe you have people who essentially own entire objects, right? You know, accounting or finance owns this the opportunity object because the data really matters to them. And so you go back and start identifying, okay, well, this person is like a mini product owner for this object, and they're responsible for these data points. But if you're really struggling to get the metadata or data owners, then I would actually start with the last thing that I mentioned, which is what's the data lifecycle. And so if you look back at how the data was created, and then you go through that data point, the individual field, all the way through its lifecycle, you'll begin to understand, okay, well, here's how I fill out the data classification. Here's who is actually responsible for this data, and here's what it should look like. And once you're armed with that information, you can actually go back to your org and say, this is right, this bit over here is wrong. Because look, we did this legwork, and there you go. So I would maybe start the other direction as opposed to what I actually said.
All right, friends. We need to cut things off because we got to go. You know, Squire Dale, whoever that is, he's got work to do, like a project or something. So happy Friday. Happy first day of November. Congratulations. You made it through October. Yay. And we'll see you on, what is the 15th, right? Right. The 15th, 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
15th. Yep.
So we'll see you later. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Thanks,
and
everybody.
then I'm going to go find some candy. Maybe. I think I've got a Twix bar. Maybe. I don't know. Snickers, Milky Way, all that good stuff. I got Smarties and I got some other stuff too, but we'll talk to you all soon. We'll see you online. Okay. Bye, friends. Bye. 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 Gotta end the call.